David Malcar here, Liberty Chronicle Independent. We have Michael Luke with us today, who is the political director for Snohomish County of Washington State. Welcome, Mike. So glad to have you again.
Good to be here.
Here on LCI. Last year we were able to interview Mike for his U.S. Senate run for the state of Washington, and we were able to get a lot of experience from that one, weren't we?
We did, yeah. I learned a lot from that race. I learned quite a bit.
So a pretty daunting task when you're running for the whole state.
It's daunting there, but at the same time, that particular race had 17 candidates. It had, 3 Republicans, 5 Democrats. You had me, and then you had 11 other assorted independent and other parties, I guess you could say. So yeah, and plus, you don't get a lot of attention from the media because you're not an RD or you're not one of the big Republican or Democrat candidates. So you do the best you can on Facebook and you try to do press releases, but definitely a daunting task.
Well, there were still a lot of media appearances that you were able to do. I remember that we were able to cover in Snohomish the library. We were able to have like a town hall for the candidates, and that was a good informative run. So with that being said, here we are 2017. How have you been able to prepare for this position, and with that experience that you've got now, to be able to use towards this chapter?
Yeah, I've had some experience before. I spent 8 years in the Republican Party. I spent, a couple of those years in leadership positions as a legislative district chair and executive board member. And something that I was always trying to do in that party was get a farm team of local candidates. Unfortunately, there weren't any. We would get information out there, Brian as well. We would get information out there, try to get these candidates to run, just to file, and we couldn't find a way to do that. So I got a lot of experience there. I ran locally for Fire District Commissioner and County Charter Commission. And when I was in the Republican Party, I was a Ron Paul guy, so we were always trying to steal delegates and whatnot. And so you had to learn, the legislative districts. You had to learn where the precincts are. Was that precinct? It was in this legislative district. It was in this congressional district. You wanted to try and shuffle your delegates and do your strengths. So I learned a lot there. And then, doing a statewide race. What's really great about that is that it was a daunting task, but when it's all said and done, you have a ton of real, I guess I'm going to call it data, but you have a feeling and a gut feeling all along that goes with the data that you look at when you do the autopsy on the results of the election. So it helped me quite a bit to kind of see what sort of areas of the state were more favorable towards Libertarians, more towards Democrats, more towards Libertarians. Where were the lower vote counts, things like that. So you get some actual hard data that you experienced yourself doing. So that race helped me quite a bit as my role as political director.
So for 2017, obviously you're working with your brother and you're working with Anthony Welty as well for the chair.
Yep.
And Brian, your position again is
Communications Director.
Communications Director. We want to make sure that we got that loud and clear so that we have an excuse for the outtakes on the previous one. So, getting back to the question.
Yes.
So 2017, as political director, what challenges do you see at this moment that you've got to get resolved now so that you guys can be rocking and rolling later on?
Right now, what's nice about the local candidates running for a local office is that it gives candidates experience. One thing I hear is that, we need to run experienced candidates. Well, for all intents and purposes, the Libertarian Party is still a very young party. It's a very new party. And yes, it may have been around for 40 years, but I think only in the last 2 to 4 has it really kind of saw the critical mass start to raise. So I'm looking for candidates. I'm trying to get candidates to understand you don't have to be a candidate. You don't have to have a great title. You don't have to have all this stuff that you think you need to do. You just need to run. You need to look at a couple issues, and it's not that hard to do. So encouraging people to run, getting them over any of their fears or anything like that, looking for candidates, but trying to piece together the different districts, whether that's a school district or a city council or a fire district, is trying to plug our people in as candidates, get them to write a good voter statement, and just get them to file, because just by getting on the ballot, we are gaining exposure for them, their name, but then when they run again for a partisan office with that L after their name, that just gets the party bigger exposure just by running. So that's my goals right now and my challenges, and just finding candidates.
I can say that I know a lot of people have a concern usually that they don't really see the same people run more than once. So they lose that established base that they had, the following, and now everyone's like, oh great, now I gotta learn someone all over again. And when you've already had that established connection there, it definitely helps to have the candidates, and that you can encourage them to run over and over and over again, because you can't succeed if you don't keep trying.
Yeah, that's a really good point. And the only way, if you're not already an elected official, that you get experience is to run. Yes, you will run. Yes, you may lose, but it is to run. And I still think about trying to find a happy medium between running too many times or not running enough. Trying to be strategic in, hey, I'm going to run for this district because it's part of this bigger legislative district that I may run for next year. And to be mindful of that. Or I may run for this legislative district because it's part of this congressional district that I want to run in. And trying to be strategic and trying to squeeze every little percentage point out of just running smart, as opposed to just trying to work the hardest and campaign the hardest. I think we can run smart and really get the message, get the brand out there as well, and let people know, hey, we're a viable party, and we're on the ballot, and we're giving you something to choose. One of the things I hear so much when I have ran in the past is that the public is tired of the two-party system. That is one of the things. You can talk with people on issues and try to get them to vote for you, and somewhere towards the end, you're going to hear them say, I just wish there weren't parties, and they're talking about the two parties, the lesser of two evil. And I think that we are the leading, third-party candidate. And I think it's time for people to recognize that, and we need to show them that by getting on the ballot and giving them a real option, and making them at least think about it.
Yes, because the Libertarian Party is actually on the ballot in one way, shape, or form in all 50 states as of 2016, thanks to the Gary Johnson run in the presidential race. Now, you brought up the history of the party and how it's only about 45 years old, give or take a little bit there. People don't realize that, like, the party of the Republican Party is actually dated all the way back to Civil War. So when Abraham Lincoln first got involved with politics, he was involved with the Whig Party, which later turned into the Republican Party shortly after. So we've got a good, that's over 150 plus years, right, just from that alone. So the Republican Party has a lot of history, and the Democratic Party even goes further back. I mean, we're going all the way back to like Andrew Jackson, so we're really dating ourselves by going back that far. And political parties, ideally, is not what George Washington wanted when him and the Founding Fathers were able to establish the Constitution and be able to do the Declaration of Independence for the United States of America. With that being said, with where we're at right now, Libertarian Party, it has the biggest exposure, it has the most established base. Now that Snohomish County is part of that grand history, putting pressure on you now. Now that you've got all this history that's come down to this moment, going forward, I know we talked about it a little bit, but I'd like to give you some more chance to elaborate on the long-term future. What do you see happening in Snohomish County in the next 4 to 8 years? Because we have another major election coming up in 2020, and then we've got the really big one that could be the really huge upset for the two-party system in 2024.
Right. Snohomish County, as you see it in the state of Washington, any political strategy has been studied. It's the swing county. If you want to win a statewide election, you're going to need to win Snohomish County. Maybe not by a lot, but you're going to need to win it, because king is king. You know, and that's a tough one to win in. But Snohomish County is the key county. And even if Snohomish County has 3 congressional districts that it is a part of, the 1st, the 2nd, and the 7th, it has 7 legislative districts in it. So Snohomish County is a swing county, but it's an interesting county too, because they will vote for a Tim Eyman initiative to lower taxes, but they will vote for protecting their right to bear arms. They will also vote overwhelmingly to legalize marijuana. They will vote for gay marriage. So it's a very interesting county in the big picture. Now, where I see it is, as we start to get these local candidates in here, then we can upgrade them up to legislative districts, up to congressional districts. And at the same time, the other 2 parties, they have parts of the state and parts of this county. The Republicans are more disadvantaged than the Democrats in Snohomish County. Democrats have a little bit of an edge. But these other parties, I think the Democrats, when I look at them these days, they look like they're going to self-destruct. The Republican Party is almost literally dying off. There is no youth in it. There is no chance of really increasing any more youth in it. They are old people that honestly want to sit around, maybe donate to a campaign, and tell young people how to run for office. But they don't have any young people to tell how to run for office. So it's about kind of crowding out especially the Republican Party in Snohomish County. By filling up these ballots and running in this, we start to challenge their farm team. We build our farm team, and we will crowd them out. Any sort of challenge in a primary is tough for a Republican. They get nervous. Now, Libertarians, we just say, hey, let's go for it, see what happens, right? But Republicans, they want to get a certain number, so they can get a certain amount of money from the donor class, and then they want to have this phone banking and this doorbelling and all this stuff. And I'll be quite honest with you, I want to crowd them out. I'm starting with the Republican Party. I want to crowd them out of Snohomish County. I want to see their candidates frustrated and demoralized when they lose. This is kind of war. This is kind of a chess game, and that's kind of what I'm playing. And I'm trying to be very picky on where we put a candidate. Where will it best serve the party and the strategy of just crowding out the Republicans for now? And then once we got them crowded out enough, we'll just challenge the Democrats straight up.
Well, you've heard it here, folks. This is Michael Luke, your political director for Snohomish County's Libertarian chapter here in Washington State. This is David Malachar with LCI, signing out.